particular bill already kicked off, and this afternoon debate on this bill will be resuming after its debate was interrupted on the Wednesday of 11th May 2022, and members will be required to go into division on this bill. Of course, this will be subject to the quorum of the House. A total of 15 members are required to be present for the members to go into division on this bill. The Landlord and Tenant Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2021. By Senate Majority Leader, also on its second stage. A debate on this bill will also resume after it was interrupted on the 23rd of February 2022. In the morning sitting, again, members will be going into division. There are a total of about 9 bills that members will be required to go into division. Resumption of a debate will be taking place this afternoon, but again, members will be required to go into division after the debate. So basically, all these bills will be dependent on whether the House will achieve the requisite quorum for members to go into division on this bill. Another motion that the senators will be considering this afternoon is the adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Health on the special audit report on utilization of COVID-19 funds by 28 county governments. This is a motion by Chairperson Standing Committee on Health that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Health on the special audit report on the utilization of COVID-19 funds for 28 county governments that was laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 9th February, the year 2022. Again, this is debate that will be resuming after it was interrupted on the 23rd of March 2022. Honorable Nderitu Kinyua has stepped into the Senate chambers. He will be presiding over this afternoon session. I will now hand you over for the live broadcast brought to you by PBU and KBC. Good afternoon.
Honorable Senators, let's pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings as your servant whom you have been pleased to call to leadership position in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen.
Administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable Senators, I have communication. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of delegation of students from Emund, Waswash School of Foreign Service at the Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., United States of America, USA. The delegation is at the Senate to understand the working of the Parliament of Kenya and the intricacies of registrating during a transition period. They are read by Professor Scott Taylor, Vice Dean, School of Foreign Service and Professor of African Studies, and Ms. Malta Mazzano, Assistant Director, African Studies Program. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation and on behalf of the Senate and on my behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senator George Haneri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to join you in welcoming our visitors from the United States of America. Mr. Speaker, I would like to tell them that I am a product of the U.S. education system. I went to school in New Jersey. I've also had a chance to attend the Senate in Capitol in Washington, and even the House of Congress. Welcome to Kenya. We wish you a fruitful stay. I see so many empty seats. I just want to assure you it's not always like this. We are in an electioneering period, so members are busy in their constituencies seeking re-election. Otherwise, it's normally a full house. We take business in this house very seriously. We don't want you to go back with the impression that attendance in the Senate of the Republic of Kenya is poor. No, that's not the case. We normally have a full house, and furthermore, after COVID, we introduced virtual attendance. So there are other members who are attending virtually, and they could actually make even their contributions virtually. So we wish you a fruitful stay, and wish you all the best and safe journey back to America. Thank you. Welcome.
Senator Uta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me also take the opportunity to welcome the delegation from the United States of America to Kenya. I also want to take you from my senior, Senator George Haneri, that I'm also a product of the United States schooling system. I went to school in New York, that is the CUNY, City University of New York, and went and moved to California in a small little school in Southern California, Orange County, known as Biola University. And so I lived in the US for quite a bit, and also worked there as a church minister at the Brown Baptist Church that is situated in Brooklyn, New York. And we want to welcome you. It's unusual to find this house empty, but people are out there trying to defend their seat. Some of them are running as governors, some of them want to come back here, and therefore we are representing them. And we want to assure you Kenya is a very peaceful country, and by the end of your visit here, do not really head back to the United States without visiting the Masai Mara and many, and also at the coast, the Mombasa, which is having a white joy, and the people there, the hospitality in Kenya is great. These are great people, and we pride ourselves that we are the most welcoming people in the entire sub-Sahara Africa. And pray for this nation that this coming general election will be peaceful, and we are looking forward to eliminate, be able to have the winner be declared without any hitch. And we pray for a good transition, just like in the United States. That will be one of the best ever in Africa that the first time this country will remain peaceful after the general elections. And we believe that our relationship with the United States will continue. And we, as ambassadors here, we want to bring even to the people who are representing in the United States that Kenya will continue to have a good ties. And as the chair of, acting chair, maybe now chair of the National Security Foreign Relations, I want to welcome you highly.
Thank you. I didn't know Senator Uta is a pastor. At least today I know. Senator Njeru Ndwiga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in welcoming the delegation from the United States of America. Unlike my colleagues, I did not have the advantage of studying in the United States, but my father was in the Michigan State University, so I still have the benefit of your system. Mr. Speaker, when we were redoing the constitution of this country, we borrowed a lot from your systems in America. In fact, even the very establishment of this house, because we did not have the Senate before the new constitution, before the constitution which we have now, it was created following the model of what you have in the United States. And I had the advantage of attending the Senate sessions in your country. I have been around here in the corridors of this parliament for about 20 years. So I have been to your Senate many times, and I know how you operate. And we borrowed a lot from America. In fact, our hope right now as a Senate of this country is that some of the aspects which were not properly captured in our constitution, which we borrowed from America, that this time we'll find time to include them in the constitution as we move on. So I also want to take this opportunity to welcome you to this country. And also, like my friend Outa, and I wish you could find time to tour our touristic sites, tour our coast, which is world renowned. In fact, the Diani Beach in our coast is one of the most famous in the world. So I hope you find time to visit those sites. Thank you very much. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I have another communication to make. I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's gallery this afternoon of a delegation comprising 31 librarians from 27 county assemblies who are on a 5-day attachment program in the Senate. The county assemblies presented are Samburu, Taita Taveta, Laikipia, Vihiga, Siaya, Busia, Nyamira, Tharaka Nithi, Tana River, Nyandarua, Wajir, Embu, Kisumu, Nakuru, Kajiado, Nairobi, Kirinyaga, Kiambu, Nyeri, Kisii, Mandera, Migori, Homa Bay, Garissa, Kericho, Bomet, and Kakamega. The objective of the attachment program is to equip the officers with specialized knowledge and the sharing of experience between officers at the Parliament and county assemblies, and further to facilitate upscaling of the operation of the County Assembly libraries as a critical legislative bodies in preserving legislative record as a vital resource for legislature. Honorable Senator, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation and on behalf of the Senate and on my behalf wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Honorable George Hanuri.
Bwana Spika, ningependa niruhusu kujumuika na wewe kukukaribisha wageni wetu kutoka County Assemblies mbalimbali ikiwemo County Assembly ya Vihiga. Vihiga ni county ambayo inayowakilisha katika Senate hili. Tunafuraha kuwakaribisha hapa na ninafuraha ya kwamba County Assembly ya Vihiga imeweza kupata nafasi nyingi sana ya kutuma wajumbe katika Senate hii kujifunza mambo mbalimbali na mambo ya kuendesha Parliament.
Ni hoja ipi ya nidhamu, Mheshimiwa Faki?
Mwenzangu Senator Kanira amezungumzia nafsi badala ya nafasi. Nafsi na nafasi ni vitu vili tofauti, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kaunti ya Vihiga imepata nafasi nyingi kuleta wafanyakazi wake hapa bunge kusoma, lakini sio nafasi, Mheshimiwa Spika. Asante.
Pengine tu Senator Faki, pengine tu ni vile alivyotohoa lile jina kwa sababu na ulimuelewa, lakini tayari amekuelewa vizuri. Endelea Senator.
Hata hivyo bwana Spika, nakubali kukosolewa na Senator 001. Bwana Spika, nilikuwa nasema ya kwamba wamepata nafasi nyingi ya kuja kujifunza mengi kwa bunge la Seneti, na nashukuru ya kwamba administration ya county hiyo inawapatia nafasi hiyo. Seneti ni mahali pazuri pa kuja kujifunza. Tuko na ile ambayo kwa kimombo wanasema best practices. Sijui 001 atanifunza best practices kwa Kiswahili tutasema namna gani. Kwa hivyo mnajifunza kutoka kwa wale ambao wanatekeleza mambo yao kwa njia ya wema kabisa. Kwenu siwezi kujitetea, nilijitetea kwa wageni wa kutoka mbali kuwaeleza ya kwamba Seneti hili viti vinaonekana bure kwa sababu watu wamekimbia mashinani kutafuta kura. Nyinyi ni wa hapa, mnaelewa ya kwamba hii sio kawaida yetu. Wengi wanatafuta kurudi hapa, wengi wanataka kukuwa magavana kama mimi na wania kiti cha ugavana cha Vihiga. Kwa hivyo hii sio kawaida yetu. Tunawakaribisha na tunawatakia kila laheri mnapoendelea na kujifunza kwa wiki ile moja ambayo mtakuwa hapa. Asanteni.
Senator Gertrude Msuruve.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to join you in welcoming the visitors in the House. And I want to thank the delegation that has come from the counties to be here with us. And it must be very clear, as the delegation is coming here, they must know very well that we know and we are committed to ensuring money is allocated and disbursed to the counties, and that the service delivery in the counties, but the onus is on county assemblies to ensure that the money is rightly utilized, that service delivery has been done effectively, and that public participation also has taken place effectively in the counties. I also want to thank the visiting students from the US. I've seen some of them are old, some of them are young, and this is very good because benchmarking in the Senate to see what exactly happens in leadership is very important, because when it comes to our future actually is in the hands of the youths. As we are grooming them, as they come to the Senate, they see how we are legislating, then they'll have something to take home. Honorable Speaker, I support you in actually welcoming all these visitors in the House. Thank you.
Senator Mwinyi Haji Muhammad Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika pia kwa kunipa fursa hii kujiunga nawe pamoja na maseneta wenzangu kuwakaribisha wahudumu wa maktaba kutoka kaunti zilizotajwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, maktaba ni kiungo muhimu cha elimu na vile vile pia cha taasisi tofauti tofauti ili kuweza kujua tunatoka wapi na nakwenda wapi. Na nafikiri yale ambayo wataweza kusoma hapa itasaidia pakubwa Mheshimiwa Spika kuweza kutengeneza maktaba na makavazi mazuri kwa vizazi vijavyo. Mheshimiwa Spika, hapa bungeni tuna utaalamu mwingi na vile vile pia tuna vitabu na stakabadhi nyingi ambazo zasaidia pakubwa kutuelimisha sisi kama maseneta na watu wengine kuhusiana na taratibu za bunge na mambo mengine kama hayo. Kwa hiyo kusoma kwao Mheshimiwa Spika, kuhudhuria kwao vikao hivi itasaidia pakubwa kuweza kujenga elimu na vile vile pia kujenga uhusiano bora kati ya bunge letu la Senate na zile kaunti ambazo zimekuja. Karibuni Mheshimiwa Spika, asante.
Senator Samson Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. From the onset, I want to welcome the team from 27 county assemblies, librarians that are being attached to the Parliament, or specifically Senate and the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, allow me, on behalf of the great people of County of Nandi, to warmly welcome them to this chamber. Mr. Speaker, National Senate and the county assemblies play almost equal role in terms of primary oversight, and we are the big brothers of the county assembly. So we are ready to mentor them, Mr. Speaker, and ensure, Mr. Speaker, that they learn as much as they can. I know since the onset of devolution, Mr. Speaker, it has been a great challenge in terms of capacity building, especially to our county assemblies. But I'm happy in this second generation, at the tenure of the end of the second generation of Mr. Speaker, of the devolution, most of our county assemblies have made significant improvement. Mr. Speaker, I have a privilege of sitting as a member of a sessional committee on county public investment, and we have interacted with county assemblies, and I'm happy to know that most of them have built capacity in terms of their human resource, in terms of even building modern county assemblies to accommodate members. They are now having services, and I'm happy. This is part of ensuring that we have capacity, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are still a lot of challenges that county assemblies still face in terms of ensuring that they build their capacity, the capacity of membership, including members of county assembly. But I'm happy as we go to third generation, Mr. Speaker, of ensuring that devolution works. And God willing, Mr. Speaker, some of us will be part of the second or the third generation of devolution. And I think, Mr. Speaker, for us who are in Kenya Kwanza Alliance, and we have done an attacking of bottom-up economic approach. The bottom-up will start from the counties that we are talking about. And I'm happy my neighboring county assembly attached from Kericho County, who are my neighboring to Nandi County, Mr. Speaker, are here. And also I have seen in the delegation of 27 county assemblies that are here, Mr. Speaker, I have seen your county, Laikipia. And it is good that the team from Laikipia are privileged, Mr. Speaker, to see you being the speaker of the day. They have a lot to learn from your office. They can interact with you. You know, you are good in Kiswahili. Some of us are not very good in Kiswahili. Together with my brother, Senator Stewart Manzayo, who comes from Kilifi County, and my brother, Senator Mwinyihaki Faki from Mombasa. Mr. Speaker, the Laikipia team should be excited that they are seeing you being one of our, being the speaker of the day and controlling the issues that are on the floor. So, Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy that you are one of the people who has succeeded to secure the ticket of United Democratic Alliance, a part of Kenya Kwanza, who will run in August. And we have no doubt that the people of Laikipia, having seen your tremendous performance on the floor of the House, equally to mine. And I want to remind just 1 minute, Mr. Speaker, I was together with you, and I know my brother, Senator Stewart, when we were pushing for 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. And we have said that dream can be deferred, but we'll continue pushing on to ensure that equity in terms of resource allocation in our county. And we'll not leave behind people like Kilifi County, Mombasa County, and many other counties that we have. Mr. Speaker, I've been made aware that there is a delegation from Georgetown who are here with us. We want to welcome them, Mr. Speaker, and they can learn as much as they can. Fortunately and unfortunately, most of our colleagues, this is the campaign season, this election season. Most of our colleagues are either in one day away on parliamentary duties and other exigencies of work as a Senate. So we want to welcome them and assure them that should they need any support from us, Mr. Speaker, we are ready with your secretariat, with your office as individual membership to provide any support that they might need, Mr. Speaker, and assure them the next time they will come, and I hope to see them when after elections on 9th August, and undertake as friends of this country that we are going to do peaceful elections before, during, and after elections. And I want to welcome them, Mr. Speaker, that the next time they come, there will be a new government being run by people called Kenya Kwanza Alliance Coalition government in this republic. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and welcome all our guests. Thank you very much.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Cherargei. Mheshimiwa Stewart Mazayo.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, kitu cha kwanza nataka kuungana mkono na wewe ili kuweza kuwakaribisha maafisa wanaofanya kazi katika serikali za ugatuzi, maofisa 31 ambao wameingia katika bunge la Senate ili kuweza kujionea hali inavyoendelea ndani ya Senate. Lakini la muhimu Bwana Spika, hawafanyi kazi wanaofanya kazi katika maktaba wamekuja hapa kujionea na kuweza kupata faida ya kusoma na kujua maendelezi ya maktaba yale ambao wanawafanyia kazi. Kitu cha muhimu ni kuona kwamba wakati wakirudi huko katika nyanja ama katika sehemu za majimbo wanayotoka yote 31 katika Kenya, wataweza kuenda na elimu ambayo itawafaa katika kazi zao. Bwana Spika, naona watu wamekuja 31, lakini niko na imani pengine wale wengine ambao wamebaki Bwana Spika pia watapata nafasi ya kuja. Nimeangalia hii list nikaona 31, lakini katika hii list sioni Kilifi County. Kwa hiyo nina imani ya kwamba Kilifi County itakuwako katika raundi nyingine itakayokuja. Bwana Spika, cha umuhimu ni kuona kwamba sasa serikali za ugatuzi zote 47 katika Kenya zimeamka, na kila county ama kila jimbo katika hizi majimbo yanatakana kuiga mfano huu na kuwa na maktaba yao ambayo yataweza kuwasaidia hata wale waheshimiwa ma MCA ambao wako katika zile serikali zao waweze kwenda kutumia maktaba ili kujipatia elimu bora ya kuweza kufanya ile assembly yao ama serikali zao zile za ugatuzi kuwa na nguvu zaidi, kwa sababu wanapojisomesha, wanapojifahamisha utendakazi wao watakuwa bora zaidi kuliko vile walivyo hivi sasa. Kwa hiyo mimi Bwana Spika, nataka tu nikuambie ya kwamba umefanya jambo jema kuwakaribisha hawa kuja kuona Senate vile nafanya kazi, kuona pia vile bunge linaendelea, na wakirudi nyumbani na hakika katika hizi siku 5 ambazo wamekuwa hapa ama watakuwa hapa, wakirudi nyumbani wataweza kuona faida ya kwamba kwa nini walikuja hapa na kwa nini waliweza kujisomea mambo haya ya maktaba katika bunge letu la Senate. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Senator Mohamud.
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me also join you in welcoming students from Georgetown University in the USA, and also librarians from various counties in this country. Mr. Speaker, sir, in welcoming the students from the School of Foreign Relations, World School of Foreign Relations in Georgetown University, let me tell them to welcome into the country. Kenya, you made the heart of this country now. I made them this as they entered the gate, and I told them I know where Georgetown is, university is, and the beautiful town of Georgetown next to Washington, D.C. And surely Georgetown University is a very wonderful university, and university, very reputable university. So welcome to our Senate and the Parliament of Kenya in general. And see for yourself this country, and I think seeing is believing. We are a bit very noisy now in the country. I think, notwithstanding that noise, I think Kenya is a beautiful country to visit and see how things are. I think traveling and seeing various parts of the world is very important. I know US is a very big country, but I think we in the third world also brag ourselves as Kenya as one of the best countries in the region, a peaceful country, a country which has goes on development standards by our own standards. Welcome. Now, as for our librarians, welcome to the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. I know you come from the county assemblies, one of the county governments, and the county assembly is a very important arm because it is actually the parliament of the counties. In fact, capacity building for members of the assembly is very important. And one way of building capacity is to have properly functioning libraries, library with various reference materials, where there are periodicals, where there are law books, where there are, actual material that can enhance your knowledge and also enhance your scope of how things are in the world. So I think I welcome you, and I know how much, I don't know how much, governments normally facilitate libraries, how much importance is given. But when you are here now as librarians, you can actually influence the decision made in your counties so that, libraries are properly staffed with the right material so that, county assemblies are encouraged to read. I think the reading culture in the country is very poor everywhere. It's only when you read and do research and, get knowledge that you can actually be able to do things that can help the life of people. So I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for welcoming them. Welcome, see for yourselves, and see how it is done here. I think how the National Parliament libraries function, and you can maybe give the proposals to your county assemblies so that your libraries are improved, and the county assembly members, the county assemblers, are actually functioning properly. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to welcome both the teams, and welcome to Kenya for our guys from our students from America and our county assembly librarians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Senator Mahmood. Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Chair cohesion. Chair cohesion is not there. Deferred. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Chair agriculture.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, 18th May 2022. This is the report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on its consideration of the National Assembly amendments to the Coffee Bill, Senate Bills number 22 of 2020. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, statements.
Senator Cherargei.
No, sorry. Mr. Speaker, sir, a request for statement on the Kenya shillings 9 billion set aside for rehabilitation and improvement of the old Mombasa Road after the construction of the Nairobi Expressway. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation regarding the extra Kenya shillings 9 billion that has been set aside by the Ministry of Transport to be used in rehabilitation and improvement of old Mombasa Road, in brackets lower deck, after the construction of now the famous Nairobi Expressway. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, the committee should, 1, state why the cost of the construction of the Nairobi Expressway, which has initially been projected to cost of Kenya shillings 65.2 billion, but later increased by Kenya shillings 7.6 billion to Kenya shillings 72.8 billion, as stated by Kenya National's Highways Authority, KENHA, did not factor in the cost of rehabilitation and improvement of old Mombasa Road, the lower deck. Number 2, explains the reasons for the ministry setting aside the Kenya shillings 9 billion, yet the contractor, China Roads and Bridge Construction Company, which is responsible for damages on the old Mombasa Road lower deck, and should take full responsibility. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, sir, explain whether the contract had factored that was awarded to China Roads and Bridges Construction Company had factored escalation costs, stating the amount projected for escalation and variation on the construction of the road that is now the expressway, considering this extra cost of rehabilitation of 9 billion. Mr. Speaker, sir, provide a comprehensive report on variations of cost in contracts for construction of other major roads in the country, if any, and the total amounts involved in such variation in all roads that are being raised to bitumen standards across the country. And finally, Mr. Speaker, provide a definite timeline. And you know, Mr. Speaker, most Kenyans who live along Mombasa Road had relocated because of the construction, and most businesses were closed along that route. Provide a definite timeline on completion of the renovation and rehabilitation works, giving a clear guideline on the usage of Nairobi Expressway, especially for emergency services such as fire engines, ambulances, and use for the VIP, among other emergency services. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you.
Senator Stewart Mazai.
Bwana Spika, nataka kuongeza kidogo nikisema kwamba, Bwana Spika, wale waliotengeza barabara walikuja hapa Kenya wakapata kwamba kuna barabara zake tayari, na hivi sasa wakatoboa mashimo, wakatengeza vile walivyotengeza, wametengeza barabara yao nzuri sana, hata mimi nishawahi kupita. Lakini sasa kule chini walikoharibu kuna umuhimu ya kwamba anayeharibu ndio anayetengeza. Naona kuna mushkil hapo wa kwamba watu fulani sasa wanataka kuingia katika mambo ya ufisadi. Hizo 9 billion ni pesa za Wakenya, ni pesa za watu wa lalahoi ambao wanajaribu sana kuishi katika hii nchi, na hii nchi imekuwa gali, watu hawawezi kuishi. Kwa hiyo tunataka kujua kitambo cha kwanza ni kwa nini wanauliza hili swala la kuongezwa pesa za 9 billion ili kutengeza sehemu ambayo iliharibiwa na wale waliopewa hiyo contract waitengeneze. Bwana Spika, tumekuwa na ufisadi sana ndani ya Kenya, na hususan hii wizara ya barabara. Ndani ya barabara, kama mtu anataka contractor yote anataka kuwa tajiri, anaenda katika upande wa takriban mambo ya kutengeza barabara, na tumeona hiyo ikitendeka, na watu wanaotengeza barabara kila siku wamekuwa matajiri wa kupitukia. Sasa hata hawaangalii tena umaskini wa Mkenya, imebidi ni kugandamizwa tu. Hivi sasa hiyo barabara ya kwanza, hiyo express highway, kupita juu unalipa bei ghali sana. Ukilipa shilingi 10,000, ukiangalia, ukienda airport, ukirudi, ukitoka, ukiingia ndani, ukiwa unaenda sijui pande gani na pande gani, niliangalia hii weekend 10,000 unaweza maliza siku 2 kwa hizo barabara. Sasa mimi naweza kukuambia wazi Bwana Spika ya kwamba huu ufisadi wa hali ya namna hii sisi kama Wakenya hatuwezi kukubali. Lazima kuweko na sababu mwafaka ambazo zitaeleza vizuri ya kwamba hizi pesa wanazouliza. Na Seneta Cherargei nataka kumpatia heko sana kwa sababu ya swala kama hilo. Tunataka kujua ni kwa sababu gani hii kampuni kama bado iko na sasa wanaendelea kuchaji wa Kenya hiyo pesa wanaochukua kuchaji wa Kenya kutembea katika hiyo barabara, watumie hiyo kutengeza hiyo barabara ambao wameharibu huko chini. Asante Bwana Spika.
Asante. Senator Gertrude Msuruve.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to give my comments. And I want to start by thanking Senator Cherargei for bringing a very important statement on the floor of this House. And it is coming at a time when we are almost going for recess, and yet this is a very, very serious statement that needs to be pursued up to the end of it all. Honorable Speaker, there is need for the committee to ensure that it intervenes, interrogates, and finds out, the modality of payment of the money to the contractors. And if the contractors were paid upfront all the amount of money, what was the logic behind paying the contractors? There is no need of contractors being paid upfront before completing their jobs, and even every job must have a warrant, because even when you go to buy a fridge, you are given a warrant of a guarantee of 1 year, 2 years, like that. So even for a road should not be made this year and then next year it is being rehabilitated using taxpayers' money to do this. I think it is very wrong, and there's need to investigate, and also the committee should also inform the time frame, because the Senate is almost coming to an end, so we need to know, Kenyans need to know, and they must know when the road will be complete. And even, Honorable Speaker, as this committee investigates what Senator Cherargei has brought on board, I think it is also necessary for the committee to tell us about the express highway, where Kenyans are being made to pay 5,000. Now, for example, one person has about 3 vehicles or 4. Does it mean that for every vehicle you'll be being paid, Honorable Speaker? Because I'm wondering whether this is a road that is meant to help Kenyans, should be used by Kenyans, because it is now a business. So the expressway must come out clearly to say why they're using taxpayers' money to make a road that Kenyans will pay, while using the road. This is something we should not really keep quiet as Kenyans. We must really be given answers as to why this should be there. So I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that it is the owners of the contractor to do any repairs that are there, but not the government to allocate a huge sum sum of money, taxpayers' money, again to, rehabilitate the road, and yet the contractor was paid full amount of money, Honorable Speaker. So there is need to investigate this. And Senator Cherekai, thank you so much for bringing this on the floor of this House. This is a statement that should not be taken for granted. It should be taken with the seriousness and the gravity in which it has come, it has come on the floor of this House, Honorable Speaker. I support this statement. Thank you.
Senator Faki.
Mimi pia najiunga na Senator Cheregai kuunga mkono maombi yake ya taarifa kuhusiana na barabara ya Mombasa Road. Mheshimiwa Speaker, zabuni ya ile barabara moja kwa moja, yani Nairobi Expressway, ni tofauti na zabuni ya kurekebisha barabara ambayo ilikuwako hapo awali, barabara ya Mombasa Road. Haiwezekani Mheshimiwa Speaker kwamba zabuni ile itolewe bila ya kufuata sheria, kwa sababu sheria inasema kwamba zabuni zozote za barabara zinazohusu fedha nyingi ni lazima ziende kwa mipango ya tenda. Itangazwe tenda, yoyote ambaye ana uwezo wa kufanya kazi ile aweze kupewa nafasi ya kuweza kuifanya. Mheshimiwa Speaker, hii barabara ya moja kwa moja imejengwa kwa mfumo wa jenga, endesha, baadaye una transfer kwa serikali. Kwa hivyo itakuwa ni makosa na ni ubadilifu wa fedha kuacha tenda kama hii, Mheshimiwa Speaker, kufanywa bila ya kufuata sheria, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Kwa hivyo hii statement, Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni muhimu sana, na ningeomba kamati ya transport ya bunge hili iangalie kwa makini na kwa haraka, kwa sababu kama tunavyojua muhula wa bunge unaenda kuisha, na hii ndio fursa ambayo watu wanaofanya kazi katika serikali huweza kupata nafasi ya kusaini zabuni ambazo hazina kichwa wala mguu, ili kufanya ubadilifu wa pesa za serikali. Asante Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Get to Msuruve for your statement.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 47-1 to make a statement on a matter of general topical concern, namely World Hypertension Day. Mr. Speaker, sir, the objective of the World Health Organization on this day is to communicate to the public the significance of hypertension and its serious medical complications, and to provide information on prevention, detection, and treatment. This day is celebrated every May the 17th. It was initiated by the World Hypertension League, an umbrella organization that unites national hypertension leagues and societies around the world. The theme for this year's World Hypertension Day is Measure Your Blood Pressure Accurately, Control It, Live Longer. In many parts of the world, millions and millions of people around the globe have died as a result of blood pressure and its related consequences. High blood pressure is often called the silent killer, and this is because most of the time it has no obvious symptoms to indicate something is wrong. Mr. Speaker, sir, high blood pressure is classified into 4 categories. That is, we have normal, prehypertension, that is mild, stage 1, moderate, and stage 2, severe. Tommy Arima et al., that is a scholar, in his 2011 research on mortality patterns in hypertension, stated that raised blood pressure is responsible for 7.6 million deaths per annum worldwide, more than any other risk factors. Around 54% of stroke and 47% of coronary heart disease are attributed to high blood pressure. Further adding that over 80% of this burden occurs in low and middle income countries. Blood pressure related diseases also contribute to cardiovascular deaths among people below the hypertensive threshold of 140/90 mmHg. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we commemorate this day, Awareness on blood pressure is important because blood pressure is one of the vital signs used to check how well your body is. Blood pressure is measured in millimeters of mercury, that is a mmHg. The reading has two numbers. The first number is the systolic blood pressure, which is the pressure in your arteries when your heart beats. The second is the diastolic pressure, which is the pressure when your heart rests between beats. Normal pressure should be 120/80 mmHg, although there may be spikes throughout the day based on your activities. High blood pressure is usually managed by lifestyle changes and, if necessary, medications. Mr. Speaker, sir, high blood pressure can quietly damage the body for years before symptoms develop. Uncontrolled high blood pressure can lead to disability or poor quality of life, or even a deadly heart attack or stroke. Many Kenyans, high and mighty, low and humble, have died as a result of high blood pressure and related causes. Mr. Speaker, sir, as you mark this day, I would like to call upon the national government in conjunction with the county governments to take up the responsibility of 1. Creating awareness on the causes of high blood pressure. 2. Availing free blood pressure checkups in all county hospitals. 3. Availing free medical awareness on how to prevent high blood pressure. And 4. Ensuring that every Kenyan has the highest attainable standard of health. I thank you for this opportunity and wish you all a happy belated World Hypertension Day. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I want from the onset to thank my sister, Senator Gertrude Musuruve. I think she has done exceptionally well. I would have really wished to see her in the next parliament, because the grasp of issues and legislation that she has done in East House yes, I would want to see her in the next parliament, either the National MP or the Senate. And I hope the party is taking of note through the Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Stewart Manzayo, because she has done well. At least she has exceptionally done well. And I hope the people also of Kakamega are taking note of. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank her for bringing this issue. The issue of World Hypertension Day is very important. Mr. Speaker, under Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, it states clearly in clear terms that access to highest quality of health in this country is a basic human rights. And we know basic human rights is very important in our Constitution of 2010. This is a silent killer, as you say, high blood pressure, Mr. Speaker. In fact, as she has put it, it is not killing only the mighty or the high. It's also ravaging our villages. And the worst part is that most of the people do not know that they are either suffering because there are no symptoms, Mr. Speaker. So I agree with that we must take, I know these are diseases that have resulted because of lifestyle and the choices that we make, but these are diseases that can be managed in ensuring that we change choices in our lives, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say these are reality. Both at the highest level as the Senate, to the lowest level in our villages. This is the biggest challenge that we have as a country. And I think as we mark this day, we must take opportunity, and as Senate, Mr. Speaker, and Parliament, and other people who are salaried or government employees or private sector, some of them have access to be able to take medical checkups once in a while. And this is important that it can be detected early so that you can live a life to the fullest, because after some time it destroys organs of the body, the symptoms are not seen, and that is why some people call it silent killer, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's worth noting that health as it is has been devolved. And one of the requests of our colleague is to at least create in centers, county hospitals, sub-county hospitals, local dispensaries that we have, that ordinary people can walk to, like Mosoria Sub-County Hospital, and check their pressure, be it Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, or any other part, for example, in Nandi County, any other part in Laikipia, in Embu, in any other part, including Kilifi and Mombasa. We need that access. And the reason, Mr. Speaker, we devolve the health was to ensure we bring it closer to the people. That was the real intention of devolution. But up to now, the health sector is struggling. The health sector itself is in ICU. Because the challenges that are facing our health in our counties is, one, there is a challenge of human resource issues. You find there is always been unsettled fight with governors on the issue of hiring, salaries, emoluments, Mr. Speaker. Challenges that have bedeviled our health sector in our counties, Mr. Speaker. The reason, and I think the wisdom of the drafters of the Constitution to devolve health, they realize each and every Kenyan should be able to access an health center, a dispensary, level 4 hospital, county referral hospital, of course the national referral hospital like Moi Teaching and Referral. I think there is Mbagathi, there is Kenyatta National Hospital, and many others. I think there is one that has been built in Nyeri, Mr. Speaker. These are things that governors can do and ensure that our people can walk in, do check-up on. And there are many Kenyans who are also diabetic, Mr. Speaker, even in our own families. There are Kenyans who are suffering with blood pressure. These are lifestyle diseases that you might look. And you know, even when as a man, Mr. Speaker, I was being told also when you have high blood pressure and diabetes, performing other issues and rising to occasion also becomes a problem. And yes, and that is, Mr. Speaker, it is also some of the challenges that we are talking about with this disease. And in fact, the issues of medical awareness, I think it's very important. The way, Mr. Speaker, I wish you would see, I have seen counties and our hospitals sometimes do awareness on issues of children, pediatric, issues of breastfeeding, and many others. These are also should be included in terms of free medical camps, the awareness that we are talking about, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we need also Kenyans to know the causes of high blood pressure, Mr. Speaker. I know the current high blood pressure in the country, the people with the highest blood pressure, Mr. Speaker, are as politicians. There is high blood pressure of politics, and there is, I can tell you, most of our colleagues, including ourselves, before nominations, we were suffering from high blood pressure. So we need also the country is also on high blood pressure because of the nature of, and I want to ask my colleagues that even as we do politics, we should be careful also so that it might not come with the cost of being ill health. Because I know with the competition that is there, fighting politically, it should not make us lose our health or fight each other or ensure each other. So in as much as, and I think this is an issue that we can always address, Mr. Speaker, and ensure that our counties at least ensure that they create awareness, and where colleagues or wananchi have those challenges of diabetes, high blood pressure, because these are lifestyle diseases, Mr. Speaker, there is a way that even those county hospitals that we are having at the lowest level, be it in Laikipia or in Nandi County, for example, those are, we need to teach our people how you know it's not a death sentence. You can still manage and be able to enjoy life as it is, Mr. Speaker. And I want to really thank, and I hope the Committee of Health, I know they have not been Committee of Health membership, I don't know whether they are members here, but through the chair and through the answer, Mr. Speaker, if they can take note that this is a serious issue, we can also in future ensure as a Senate and as a Parliament also, we can also offer medical awareness and free medical checkup, especially after 9th of August, Mr. Speaker, and ensure that we attain. So I really want to thank Senator Gertrude Musuruve for this bringing to attention of the nation, bringing to the attention of all of us that we need to look back. This is a silent killer. There are no vital signs, Mr. Speaker, but it is about the choices that we make in life. And I think county governments and national governments must be at the forefront to ensure our people do not continue to suffer in some of these things that we can prevent, Mr. Speaker. For those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I wish all of us, and mostly our brothers and sisters who suffer from high blood pressure, Mr. Speaker, on this World Hypertension Day, and wish well and call upon the sector players in health ministry to take note of this, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Cherargei. Chairperson, Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation is not there. Deferred. Next order.
Order number 8, motion. Consideration of the National Assembly amendments to the Coffee Bill, Senate Bills number 22 of 2020.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that pursuant to Standing Order 159, the amendments of the National Assembly to the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 22 of 2020, be now considered. Mr. Speaker, sir, first I wish to thank my committee, the Committee of Agriculture, for the diligent work that they have done in considering these amendments. Secondly, I wish to thank the stakeholders, both farmers and other stakeholders, who gave us very important inputs, or who brought very important inputs to the consideration of the amendments of this bill. Mr. Speaker, you remember when I moved this bill, I enumerated the problems of the coffee farmers. I enumerated the history of the coffee in this country. I also enumerated very clearly the reasons why Senate found it necessary to introduce a bill in this House. But the main reason was to alleviate the problems that the coffee farmers in this country go through, particularly the peasant coffee farmers in this country. Mr. Speaker, with these amendments, the amendments from the National Assembly, we do not agree with them. And Mr. Speaker, the problem is we cannot agree with some and disagree with the others. It's either we agree with all of them or disagree with all of them. That's the unfortunate bit. So we may agree with quite a number of the amendments that they have brought. But Mr. Speaker, the key amendments that they have brought really cannot be agreed with. The Senate found we cannot agree to them because they actually kill the very spirit of this bill. We brought this bill, Mr. Speaker, to this House, and this House considered the bill, and this House unanimously passed that bill because in the wisdom of the members, the bill addressed the core problem of coffee farming in this country. Mr. Speaker, you will remember that this House did feature and did indicate that since independence, we have never quite gotten ourselves out of the yoke of colonialism in some sectors. And one such sector is the coffee sector. Mr. Speaker, we have done very well in many other areas, including in the coffee sector. But Mr. Speaker, what has happened is that the farmer has been held captive by marketers, by people who control their coffee beyond where they can themselves, where they can intervene. Mr. Speaker, what happens in the coffee sector is that once the coffee leaves the farmer's farm, it goes to their cooperative society. From their cooperative society, that coffee, which at that point is called parchment, moves on and goes to somebody called a miller, whose miller is licensed currently by AFA, but whose miller now mills that coffee. Mr. Speaker, after the coffee is milled, then it is taken to the auction. When that coffee is milled, Mr. Speaker, that is where the coffee grades are realized, the grades which are taken to the auction. Mr. Speaker, the farmer has no way of knowing what kind of grades his coffee has realized until they are told by the millers. But Mr. Speaker, the mischief in the coffee industry in this country has been that the same miller has also been the marketer. The same miller holds two licenses, milling license and marketing license. So the mischief, Mr. Speaker, sir, has been that it's only the miller who knows the grades of the coffee that they are taking to the auction. And the farmer does not know. And you know, the only information he has is what they are given by the millers. And when the coffee goes to the auction, then the same miller who now has another license called marketing license is the one who goes to market this coffee. Mr. Speaker, to cure that mischief in the bill which we passed in this House, to cure that mischief, Mr. Speaker, we introduced a direct payment system, what we call the DSS. Mr. Speaker, the DSS was meant to cure that problem, i.e., the farmers, once the cooperative or the farmer takes their coffee to the miller, the coffee still belongs to them. They can pick their coffee and take it to the auction themselves or through an agency which is appointed by them, by the farmer. That way, Mr. Speaker, the farmer will be guaranteed that the proceeds that they will get from their coffee is the actual proceed that they are entitled to as farmers. Mr. Speaker, currently that is not the case. Today, a farmer will take their coffee to a miller. The miller will now instruct the farmer, tell them you have so many bags of AA, of AB, of PB, and the miller will take that coffee to the auction, go and auction the coffee. The same marketing agent is the agent of the buyer, Mr. Speaker. And that is what has killed coffee farming in this country. That's what has driven the farmer out of their farms in coffee farming. Mr. Speaker, you will be shocked that the amount of revenue between the coffee marketing, when the coffee is taken to the auction, and what they realize when they sell the coffee, the amount therein, Mr. Speaker, is 3 times what the farmer gets paid, because the farmer is not involved in the eventual sale of their coffee. That's what this bill, Mr. Speaker, seeks to, the mischief that this bill seeks to cure. Mr. Speaker, I am shocked that when we started doing this bill, we were moving very, very well with even with the Ministry of Agriculture. Somewhere along the way, Mr. Speaker, we parted ways. Where we are in agreement is that we want to establish a coffee board. And this bill is establishing a coffee board. This bill, Mr. Speaker, is establishing a coffee research institute, the way it used to be. Because you remember, when I moved the bill, I did indicate that I do not want to go back to what happened when the board was revoked and all the functions taken to AFA, all issues related to crops were taken to AFA, and that is where we the management of both coffee and most of other cash crops, or most of other crops, started to dwindle, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to establish a coffee board. This bill seeks to establish coffee research, and some of the amendments which we do not agree with from the National Assembly, the National Assembly has brought to us, is that we do not want to wish away the county governments. Mr. Speaker, agriculture is wholly devolved. It's a wholly devolved function. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is inconceivable that you would have amendments that wish away our county governments. How, Mr. Speaker? These are the same county governments are the ones that are in charge of cooperatives in the ground, are the ones who are in charge of crop development in the ground. Mr. Speaker, what I seek the House to note and the country to note is that whereas National Assembly passes budgets, and whereas this House, the Senate, passes the county revenue allocation of 15% currently, and whatever percentage later on, the amount of money that remains with the Ministry of Agriculture is perhaps what is causing mischief. Is what is causing mischief in our counties. There's so much money that remains with the Ministry of Agriculture, yet agriculture is a devolved function, Mr. Speaker. That is why we are not developing at all. I do not want to go to other crops. I want to concentrate on coffee today, because the amendments we have gotten from the National Assembly really do not cure what we were expecting. My surprise, Mr. Speaker, is that through these amendments that the National Assembly has introduced into this bill, that they want to also remove the benefits which we have gotten from coffee regulations. Mr. Speaker, the President himself appointed a commission, a coffee commission. And it's that coffee commission that developed the regulations. And those regulations, Mr. Speaker, they were brought to this House. But before they were brought to this House, my committee, engaged that commission, and we went through those regulations. We were satisfied they were good regulations, and we invited all senators from coffee growing areas, and not just senators, even members of parliament, all of them from coffee growing areas, and we sat for breakfast, and we went through those regulations, and we agreed on those regulations. Mr. Speaker, both the Senate and the National Assembly passed those regulations, and those regulations are in force. But you get surprised when now the same government, the CS in the same government, now wants to go through the back door to remove those regulations. Mr. Speaker, it's inconceivable. That is why we have so many problems in this government. Because when you have a government that does not know what the right hand is doing, and what the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing, Mr. Speaker, please don't call that a government that knows where it is going. We as coffee farmers, Mr. Speaker, although I am the chair of the Committee of Agriculture, I also happen to be a coffee farmer. We as coffee farmers of this country, we want the bill that the Senate passed here to be the bill that will see the light of day. And the regulations which we are seeing here, Mr. Speaker, the amendments that have been brought by the National Assembly will not give us that hope. Mr. Speaker, our main objection to the objections to the amendments here rests on coffee marketing. That's our main objection. And I know most senators who are here when we moved the bill and who supported the bill will remember that the coffee farmer, we saying that and the House saying that, the coffee farmer has been made a slave of coffee marketers. That the people who make money are not the farmers, are the marketers. We have had an opportunity as a committee to visit one marketer in the United States. In fact, a roaster called Joffrey's in Florida. And that roaster told us categorically, yes, we love Kenya coffee. And Kenya coffee is very good, we love it. But it's not available. We cannot access it. And when we do access it, it is very expensive. And he showed us his invoices and receipts. The last time he had bought coffee from Kenya, he had paid $1,200 a bag. Can you imagine? Now, how much is the farmer getting here? Farmer will be lucky to get $300 of that same bag, Mr. Speaker. So that tells you where the mischief is. And I am shocked, Mr. Speaker, that a cabinet secretary who is in charge of agriculture and who understands these things, yes, that would want to introduce amendments to go and kill the same farmer the government is supposed to protect. Mr. Speaker, it's really inconceivable. This should be, this, Mr. Speaker, should be condemned by all right-thinking Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, the other thing that we have noticed of late is that these marketers, Mr. Speaker, they have actually pocketed the government, put the government in their pocket. That today, as the minister traverses the country, doing his campaigns, wherever he's doing his campaigns, and his campaigns, Mr. Speaker, and his campaigns in the coffee growing areas, all of them is to tell farmers how the chairman of agriculture of Senate does not understand coffee, and how the chairman of agriculture of the Senate, Gerald Dwiga, is the one who is stopping coffee reforms. Mr. Speaker, can you believe this? And after a minister of government addresses those farmers, he tells them to line up and gives them 1,000 bob each. Would you believe that, Mr. Speaker? Where else have you ever heard that a minister is going out to do his work, and after he does his work, then he gives he gives bribes to the fellows he is talking to? Mr. Speaker, this is money from the marketers. These are marketers who are using the minister to kill this bill. These are the same marketers. Mr. Speaker, we are asking, and we will continue to ask. We may be at the tail end of the life of this Senate, but I can assure you we will be back here again, Mr. Speaker, and purposely to pursue some of these things. One of the reasons, Mr. Speaker, why the minister should not be allowed to get away with this is because this is going to kill coffee. It is the same reason that has caused the production of coffee dwindle from 125 metric tons to current today. We are exporting less than 30 metric tons, Mr. Speaker, 30,000 metric tons, less from 125. Why? It's because of this kind of behavior. And I hope that whoever advises the president, whoever advises the president will get this message clearly, that the marketers, coffee marketers, have taken hold of his government and they have put his government in their pockets, and through his CS, they want to frustrate coffee reforms. Mr. Speaker, I do not want to bore the House with the number of amendments that we are proposing, that we are rejecting, because we either reject one or all of them, or we either accept all of them or reject all of them. So I do hope that in the following 1 week, Mr. Speaker, that both this House and the National Assembly will find wisdom to establish a mediation committee. They call it a mediation committee, so that we can look at the amendments which are acceptable, amendments which are not acceptable. And because I sincerely do hope that this bill will see the light of day. And I do hope, Mr. Speaker, that for those of you who pray, we want to pray for the government, and specifically we want to pray for this government to begin to realize that the citizens of this country, those peasant coffee farmers out there, they look up to the government for protection. And if it is the same government that is denying them protection, Mr. Speaker, it's unthinkable. It is clearly unthinkable. Mr. Speaker, I want to say right now, you will hear that coffee prices are good, that we are being paid well. I want to caution the farmers, coffee farmers. Coffee prices have not changed. Those regulations left in place, the ones we left here, are the ones which will make a difference. The reason why we are seeing high coffee prices today, Mr. Speaker, is not because the market has changed, it's because the dollar rate has shifted. Because coffee is paid for in dollars. So when you, and the dollar rate has shifted. That is what is making the prices of coffee look very good right now. The only cure we have got, the only protection we have got for the Kenyan coffee farmer is this bill, Mr. Speaker. Is this bill, once you remove the amendments, which the mischievous amendments which have been introduced by the government through the National Assembly. Those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move.
Your second.
Yes, I have two members from my committee who are here. One has just walked in. The other one was here. He was listening. So, Mr. Madzayo, could you kindly second? Senator Madzayo is a member of the committee.
Senator Stewart Madzayo.
Stewart Madzayo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question, which is that pursuant to Standing Order 159, the amendment of National Assembly to the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 22 of 2020 be now considered. Senator Cherargei.
What is wrong? Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Chair and the Committee of Agriculture led by Senator Njeru Ndwiga for that wonderful work they are doing. Mr. Speaker, the issue of coffee continues to be a serious problem, especially to our farmers. From where I come from, In Nandi County, there are around almost all sub-counties in Nandi grow coffee, led by Tindred sub-county. And most farmers have been facing challenges on how they can grow, market, and get value for their coffee. Mr. Speaker, it is very important that the issue of coffee, just like any other crop in the Republic, continues to make our farmers poorer. They have invested a lot. I think the Chair of Agriculture has explained that the problem is not with farmers. The problem is not with the people of Kenya. The problem is with the Ministry of Agriculture and the government and the coffee marketers, Mr. Speaker. And you know, Senator Jerundu understands very well about the coffee, having worked as a cabinet minister in several governments that we have had in this country. Mr. Speaker, you know, since the current cabinet secretary, Peter Munya, came into as the cabinet of agriculture, our farmers continue to suffer because he has turned most of his engagement with farmers to political rallies. You can see most of the time insulting, demeaning, and even giving handouts to farmers, Mr. Speaker. You remember the fight that we had about the tea sector, the fight that we are having. We remember the fight that we have about the coffee. These cartels must be called out.
What is it, Senator Stewart?
That are in Ministry of Agriculture that continues, Mr. Speaker, that continue, Mr. Speaker, to destroy our farmers. And we must name and shame them, Mr. Speaker.
What is it, Senator Stewart Mazai?
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nasimama kwa hoja ya nidhamu. Nataka kuuliza kwamba ikiwa yule anaoongeleshwa hayuko ndani ya bunge wala hajaitwa wala kisa kama hicho hajaambiwa ama kuletwa hapa kwenye bunge na kuulizwa na akashindwa kujibu, ndio mtu akawa na uwezo wa kuweza kusema ya kwamba anasema alimuuliza na hakuweko. Je, itakuwa ni haki hivi sasa ikiwa waziri wa ukulima hayuko hapa? Lakini katika mjadala unaoendelea hivi sasa, ndugu yangu, singependelea kabisa kumuingilia kati. Ndugu yangu, rafiki yangu, mdogo wangu, nampenda sana na yeye tusikizana zaidi, lakini ni haki kuongea juu ya mtu ambaye hayuko ndani ya bunge kwa njia ambayo haifai, ama kumuonyesha katika taifa kwamba pengine si mtenda kazi maalum, na hali watu wengine kama sisi tunajua yeye ni mtenda kazi. Kwa hiyo tunataka kujua kama ni sawa hivyo kuongea kama hayuko ama si sawa.
Senator Cherargei, pengine wacha sana kujihusisha na mambo ambayo ni kana kwamba unamkemea waziri, lakini kulingana na vile ambavyo nilikuwa nikifuatilia mjadala huu kutoka kwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya ukulima, kuna mambo aliyogusia. Nilisikia akisema ya kwamba yule waziri amekuwa akipeana, na alizita mwenyewe, hongo ya 1,100 kwa kila mkulima anaye tembea katika ule mkutano. Sijui kama vile alivyosema ni kweli, lakini kwa sababu nilimsikia akisema vile ambavyo, ningependa kumwambia Cherargei ya kwamba tafadhali jihusishe na mswada wenyewe bila hasa kumuingiza waziri katika hayo mambo. Pengine tu kutaja yale maneno ambayo unajua, lakini si kumuingiza kwa kuleta nia mbaya kwake. Asante.
Nafikiri Mheshimiwa Speaker, nasikia ndugu yako anasema angependa kuniingilia katikati. I don't know what that means, but maybe it's a story for another day.
Senator Cherargei, yes. Ni vizuri kama ulianza kwa Kiingereza uendelee kwa Kiingereza, wacha kuchanganya lugha.
My apologies, Mr. Speaker, sir. You know, I had in Kiswahili saying something I didn't understand, but I hope you know better because you are good in Kiswahili. Mr. Speaker, what I was just saying is that the chair of committee has told us one of the impediments to the success of coffee reforms has been the ministry itself. So, Mr. Speaker, and we have seen the ministry officials have always, Mr. Speaker, and you know, I've just said coffee continues to become a problem and that is why, as a government and people who do bottom-up, one of the proposals that will move forward is looking at guarantee minimum returns for our farmers. I think when we implement guarantee minimum returns to our farmers, even in cost, through the bottom-up, and I can see Senator Stewart Mazai is excited because he really wants to see this government of bottom-up economic model where every farmer, Mr. Speaker, will get what we call guarantee minimum returns. And that is the only way we will finish these cartels that continue to frustrate our farmers in coffee sector, in tea sector, in sugar sector, in milk sector, Mr. Speaker. The only to fix this is a bullet called guarantee minimum returns to our farmers. And I think the chairperson of agriculture has spoken passionately about coffee. I remember we had a fight in this house, Mr. Speaker, when the World Bank gave us 10 billion through coffee cherry fund. We fought over this house. The minister was summoned. He could not give us the concrete answers, and it is on record in the answer of the Senate Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, when these reforms we want to do, these people don't want reforms, say that when they get funds like through World Bank, 10 billion, that were through coffee cherry fund, they can play around with it. Because they fear regulations and legal framework, that their transparency and accountability of managing public funds that belong to farmers continue. Mr. Speaker, we were sad that day because Nandi was excluded to the counties that were supposed to be given and benefit from coffee cherry fund of 10 billion. We protested in this house. The cabinet secretary was summoned. He never gave us any concrete answers. It has never been told. And almost 3/4 of this country, and my brother Senator Ndwiga will tell you, have a potential of growing coffee. Everywhere you go across the world, you will not miss spotting a coffee shop. Even anywhere, in fact, coffee is more taken than even tea, Mr. Speaker, across the world. And we need our farmers who grow coffee to have value for their coffee, Mr. Speaker. So when we raise these issues, we are raising because where I come, Nandi County, Mr. Speaker, there are farmers who still struggle with growing of coffee, keeping of coffee, marketing of coffee. Others have gone ahead and built cooperative societies. Others are still struggling buying bulbing machines. And I remember, Mr. Speaker, when I was doing my campaign, I went to a place called Kipshele, and they are still struggling in Tindre sub-county, near Kibukwa, where they are still struggling on trying to get how they can build on cooperative society and be able to have their own bulbing machines. And I remember one of their machines had broken down. That is the pain that coffee farmers continue to suffer because of cartels, because of the impediment of Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Speaker, and the government has not made a decision to crush cartels. And the chair has explained very well that the cartels are known. They know what they are doing within government.
The ayes have it.
Definition of grooming.
Honorable Miri.
Chair, I propose that we amend the definition of grooming as per the order paper. And Chair, you do notice that part of grooming actually entails manipulation. It actually entails ensuring that you build a relationship. So there are components of grooming that are missing in the definition, and also the main purposes, of course, to facilitate sexual contact or other child abuse that promotes or induces or normalizes sexual activity or behavior among or with children. So I so move.
I propose a question that the definition of grooming be amended as proposed by Honorable Miri.
Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Chair, you want to say something?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We have a small problem with that, Honorable Chair. The proposal attempts to protect, exempt an adult child caregiver.
Pardon?
Yeah, it attempts to protect an adult, exempt an adult child caregiver.
No. Point of order, Chair.
What is out of order, Honorable Miri?
Chair, I think the member may not quite understand. What I'm actually seeking, let me explain so that the chair can get.
Honorable Chair, why don't you have an ear to what Miri is on? She's on point
I'll
of
just
order.
explain, and I'll request also your technical team to listen, because what I'm actually trying to do is to include an adult caregiver as part of the grooming, because a lot of people use adult caregivers to groom, so that it would read, grooming means establishing a relationship of trust or emotional connection with a child or an adult child caregiver. So sometimes the groomer not only reaches the child, but also the caregiver. So then the caregiver is the one that then introduces the child to the abuser. So we want to ensure that the adult who is also used to reach the child and manipulate the child is also captured in this. So actually it's the exact opposite. I want to nab the person who is grooming a child online, including the caregiver. Because sometimes it's not just, the groomers do not just reach the child, but where they discover, say, that it's a child who is mentally challenged, they reach the adult caregiver who they give money or other promises to reach the child, or even when it's a very young child.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Chair, I beg to request for a minute for a further consultation between me and Miri on this. It will be very quick. We will not take time.
Don't take a lot of time. We don't have an abeyance in the house.
We will not take time, Honorable Chair.
I'll give you half a minute. Okay, now Honorable Chair. Or is it Honorable Miri?
Thank you. I would like to request that Honorable Miri reports what we have agreed on. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Miri.
Chair, because we cannot agree whether an adult can be groomed or not, I will drop the adult caregiver where it is provided, but I do believe that even adults can be groomed. But because this is a bill of children, I'll drop the part of the adult caregiver, but include the words of trust or emotional connection with the child, and also with the aim to manipulate the child, but to drop the caregiver. And then also to include among or with the children. Yeah.
So in essence, you are still you're doing a further amendment to your amendment.
I'm doing a further amendment to my amendment.
Honorable Chair.
Yes, and we fully agree with that, Honorable Chair.
Honorable members, in the circumstances, I will put the question that the definition of grooming be amended as proposed by Honorable Miri. With as many as of that opinion say aye.